Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're going to do something a bit different. We're going to use this surreal, almost architectural lens to examine an ancient text, one that actually acts as a profoundly practical manual for human consciousness. We're digging into Colossians chapter 3, and we're treating it not just as a piece of historical literature, but as a literal blueprint for completely rewiring how your mind and your habits operate.
But before we really get into the nuts and bolts of it, I gotta ask you a pretty direct question. Does your life right now feel like you're running on corrupted programming? Seriously, think about your daily habits, those looping anxieties, or maybe that emotional slavery to certain things you just can't seem to shake. Do you feel like a failing operating system that needs a serious ground-up reboot? Keep that exact feeling in mind as we explore this framework.
All right, so here's the game plan for this explainer. We're going to walk through the blueprint of this framework across 6 stages. The spiritual wake-up call, shifting to higher consciousness, uninstalling the old self, putting on a new identity, exploring the hidden internal core, and finally, the everyday Tuesday test. Let's jump right in. Starting off with section 1, the spiritual wake-up call, or snapping awake from that old operating system.
You know, this chapter isn't written like some dry, abstract theology. It's almost like someone grabbing you by the shoulders spiritually and saying, right, enough wandering around. It's an incredibly jarring shift if you're reading these ancient texts chronologically. Because right before this, Philippians is all about endurance, right? It's saying, keep going, stay steady, find joy. But then your attention just snaps awake at Colossians 3, which suddenly and aggressively demands, now become different. It's this radical, sudden shift into a demand for complete identity transformation. Which brings us to section 2, shifting to higher consciousness, setting your mind on things above.
So this is the very first of those massive architectural movements. It's a direct command to stop letting the lower world completely dictate your internal state. Early in the chapter, you get this core instruction: set your affection on things above, not on things on the earth. Now, to be clear, this doesn't mean floating around spiritually detached from reality, ignoring your responsibilities. Rather, it means flipping your psychological hierarchy. You have to start living from the spirit downward. And it's really important to notice what this framework actually classifies as earthly things. We aren't just talking about dirt and trees here. We're talking about the animal layer of human psychology. It's saying you have to stop living from this base layer upward, a layer that is just totally dominated by endless ego loops, compulsions, rage cycles, that constant lust for validation, fear, and tribal hatred. This is the emotional slavery the text is literally telling you to abandon.
Moving right along to section 3, uninstalling the old self. It is time to delete the corrupted code.
Honestly, this is where the text gets absolutely savage. It does not tell you to just manage or reduce your bad habits. Look at this uninstall log: anger, wrath, malice, filthy speech, lying, greed. It literally says to put them to death. These aren't merely bad actions you did once or twice. They are entire states of consciousness. You have to scorch the earth on those old neural pathways and utterly refuse those behaviors. You're deleting them like malware off a hard drive. No survivors.
Now for section 4, putting on new identity. Think of this as spiritual physiotherapy.
You see, once you burn down those old neural pathways, you are immediately faced with a gigantic psychological principle. Nature absolutely hates a vacuum. You can't simply empty yourself of all that bad, corrupted code and just remain empty. Because if you do, those old compulsions are going to rush right back in. You have to actively install new code to take up that space.
So here is the new code you're instructed to install: mercy, kindness, humility, patience, forgiveness, and love. And I love this. The text actually uses the metaphor of clothing. You are told to put on these traits. It's like spiritual physiotherapy. You intentionally wear and rehearse these traits, even if they feel super uncomfortable and fake at first, until they become completely natural to your identity. You literally practice these emotions into existence.
All right, section 5, the hidden internal core, the true center of the architecture.
As we look deeper, past all those behavioral changes we just talked about, we find the profound, almost surreal center of this entire psychological framework. The text distills everything down to just 3 words: Christ in you. Now, this isn't about some external figure standing beside you with a clipboard, observing you, or harshly judging your mistakes. It is about a presence forming within your own consciousness itself. Because it's internal, it changes the entire game. We move from mere religious rule following to a deep, profound internal alignment. You are aligning your very core with truth, with courage, clarity, discipline, and peace. You aren't just acting nice to keep up appearances. Your internal operating system is fundamentally aligned with a higher reality.
So, the absolutely crucial point here is this radically different psychology. The text never says, hey, try harder to become worthy. That's the old, exhausting way of trying to earn your transformation. Instead, it flips it and says, you already died to the old thing. Now live like it. You aren't trying to earn your transformation on some endless treadmill. You are simply accepting it, embodying it, and walking it out daily. And that leads us to our final stop, Section 6, the Everyday Tuesday Test, grounding the surreal in the ordinary. Look, ultimately, all this cosmic, high-level spiritual transformation has absolutely zero value if it isn't grounded in the gritty, annoying reality of your everyday life. There's this great Aussie paraphrase that captures this perfectly. I mean, anyone can feel enlightened and deeply spiritual at 2 a.m. when they're meditating or listening to scripture in a quiet room. But the real test of your new operating system, it's how you react on a random Tuesday afternoon at the local Woolies grocery store when someone cuts you off with their shopping trolley. The true battleground for this identity, death, and mental renewal isn't found in some mystical void on a mountaintop. It's right there in your ordinary, daily behaviors. It's in your speech, your relationships, your totally knee-jerk reactions. It's your work ethic, your patience with really annoying people, and your actual capacity for forgiveness when it's hard. That is where the transformation actually becomes real.
So, we arrive at the final question for you. Given where you might be right now in your own life, maybe you're struggling with discipline, craving sobriety, needing to seriously restructure your habits, or just wanting to ground yourself spiritually again, are you ready to delete your old code? Is it finally time for you to initiate this ultimate system recalibration and step fully into a newly aligned identity? Think about what your own Tuesday at Woolies test looks like tomorrow, and ask yourself how the new you is going to respond.